University of Wisconsin schools could see a drop in state money, but it would come with more freedom in how the dollars are spent.
At least that's how the governor sees the changes he wants to make in the state's commitment to the UW.
I think it'll make them more effective, more efficient, and ultimately more accountable to the taxpayers of the state.
Tonight we break down the facts of the governor's plan.
Now, the governor announced this morning that he's proposing a $300 million reduction for UW schools over the next 2 budget years.
That budget cycle begins in July, and keep in mind this is only the governor's idea at this point. The Assembly and Senate need to approve anything that the governor puts in the budget. Fox 11's Andrew Lacombe is here with a straight story so far. Andrew?
Tom, the new flexibility would allow the UW system to make its own decisions regarding wages, employee policies, and construction projects. The governor's plan also includes his promised tuition freeze for resident undergraduate students. We bring you multiple views. The proposed $300 million cut equals a 13% drop in state funding. But the governor thinks the UW system will improve after giving it more power over spending.
We think it's a strong thing. It's a long term. It'll be a benefit not only to the university system as a whole, but it'll be a benefit to students.
Estimates from the nonpartisan Legislative Fiscal Bureau show the governor has to make reductions in the next budget that begins in July. If spending and tax collections continue at the current rate, the new budget cycle would end $648 million in the hole. But if state agencies get all the money they've asked for, which routinely does not happen, the deficit would stand at $2 billion. Democrats blame the governor for the state's financial situation.
The $2.2 billion deficit was of his making, and now he's punishing the students, the faculty, the parents, and staff at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay and throughout the system.
The chancellor of UW Green Bay says he does not view the increased spending flexibility as an exchange for funding cuts.
I hope people don't see it as a trade-off. I think that's not what happened. The budget cuts are a reflection of the state budget. The autonomy idea is something that the system has talked about for 40 years.
How do you maintain quality education with a reduction in the budget?
That's a great question. That is the question, in fact, that we will be addressing over the next couple of weeks with our faculty and staff and friends in the community.
The UW plan is just one part of the governor's budget proposal. That will be presented next Tuesday, then debated by the Republican-controlled legislature.
We're going to crunch those numbers a bit to make sure that they work both in the overall budget, but then also that they work for the UW.
One change with the added flexibility, the UW system would be able to set its own tuition rates once the tuition freeze ends in 2 years.
The autonomy with no money means that the students and the parents are going to pay a lot more money.
Miller says tuition rates would stay competitive. He says added flexibility would allow system schools to design new programs that meet regional needs. UW leaders say they aren't sure how reductions would impact specific schools, but they could look into dipping into reserve funds. The system also saw a $250 million cut to state funding 4 years ago.